I have not been led to share a dream in a while. Sometimes Holy Spirit will lead me to share a dream of mine, or many times give me interpretation for someone else's dream. And let me just put that out there. That does not mean immediately inbox or DM me with this long thread of what your dream is, asking what it means. Because the first thing I'm going to tell you is take it back to the Lord. If He has not revealed it, maybe you have overlooked His interpretation and His wisdom, or maybe you're not ready to know what it means just yet. I've said before, my dreams are not a start to finish. The way the Lord has always done with me, my dreams are like a Lifetime movie, a comic, Marvel movie, a horror movie, a Netflix, something from Hulu. Like, it's a whole lot of a bunch of different things going on at once. In this particular clip of the dream that He's allowing me to share, I was taken captive. I was with a friend. I don't know who this friend was, but I was under the assumption in the dream that I knew who this friend was. And I remember contemplating and thinking, like, I really want to escape, but I don't want to leave this friend, right? Felt like every time I was pondering on an exit strategy, I kept thinking to myself, like, do I need to relay this information back to the friend so she can escape with me? I was settling by not escaping, but I was miserable in the fact that I desired to escape. I wanted to risk it all to escape. Like, I felt like I had the perfect strategy to escape, but what kept me bound? Thank you, Holy Spirit. I hear that. What kept me bound was not wanting to either let this friend down, not wanting to leave this friend behind. The Lord gave this to me for those who have been running from God, running from the calling of God, running from the assignment on their lives. This can be a friend, this can be a family member, this can be your rebellious, stubborn spouse, but someone that you have been, and I sense over a period of time, like praying and interceding for years. This can even be a wayward child, thank you, Holy Spirit, for them to get off the side of the fence, right? The friend in the dream was an old identity. The friend in a dream was worldly ways. The friend in a dream was my comfort. Notice I said I kept wanting to escape, but I didn't want to leave that friend behind. Me escaping would have been me giving God my yes, right? I have been considering it, pondering on it, meditating on it, like really ready and willing to risk it all, but that friend was holding me back. The friend didn't say anything in the dream. I didn't want to leave the friend. I didn't want to disappoint the friend. I didn't know how things would go if I left that friend. That was me considering giving God my yes, ready to give God my yes, but not really ready to leave behind my old identity. I remember Holy Spirit shared this with me years ago. Many people who have not given God their yes yet, many of them aren't ready to change. They know the Lord does not, how do I put this, Holy Spirit? He doesn't require you to change and then give Him your yes, right? We know change comes in your relationship with the Lord because you want to live a life that's pleasing to Him. God isn't even requiring them to lay some things down or separate themselves from some people. He's like, just give me your heart. Giving me your heart over a period of time, you're going to change. Like, you're going to want to change. I'm not going to make you change, but you're going to desire to change. Some people aren't ready to change yet because they know once they commit to that lifestyle, change will come. I was ready for something new, but still struggling with the old, still struggling like I'm not ready to leave her. I'm not ready to leave it. And when I say her, the old me, who you used to be, who you even know, thank you, Holy Spirit, that you're not even that person. The world may say you're that. Statistics may say you're that. That's Jacob. That old version of me in a dream, that friend is Jacob. Remember when Jacob and the Lord were wrestling on the mountain, the Lord said, well, what is your name? And he was like, Jacob. And the Lord said, your name is no longer Jacob. I call you Israel. And I'm paraphrasing. The Lord was basically saying, you don't label yourself as a trickster anymore. That's not who you are anymore. That's not who I say you are. Also, in fear of what others would think, when I give God my yes, had I given God my yes, like I'm contemplating all of this in the dream. Look at it like if I were to escape in that dream and I left a friend behind. Once I escape, what are old friends going to think? Why did you leave that friend? Why didn't you bring them with you? Why did you leave them hanging? That's old friends. Why don't you hang out with us anymore? Why you stop smoking? Why you don't like to chill anymore? You know, why you don't like to go to the club? Why you stop drinking? That type of thing. Thank you, Holy Spirit. He wants you to know, although you see nothing outwardly in the natural of them teetering, even kind of wanting to take a step in the direction of giving God their yes. He's wanting you to know what they're dealing with inwardly. It's almost like at one point they weren't even thinking about this direction. They weren't even thinking about giving God their yes. He is wanting you to know that your prayers are working. Even the prayers that you may have stopped praying, or the prayers that you prayed from years ago and you see no proof, no evidence, he wants you to know that those prayers are working. The Lord may have instructed you to stop praying for these people. If that has been your instruction, your prayers did not fall on deaf ears. The Lord has heard you, and the Lord is faithful in answering those prayers. Now they are actually considering giving God their yes. They're ready to give God their yes, but there's just a little bit of battle of leaving that behind. Even though they are settling in that bondage, remember I said I was settling, but I was miserable. God will not allow them, thank you, Holy Spirit, to no longer be comfortable in the pig's pen. He's no longer allowing them to be comfortable in their rebellion, to be comfortable in their sin. Because even though God hates sin, the thing is, there is a time his grace covers it, so they don't necessarily feel the convictions or taking heed to the convictions. But when he lifts his grace, when he lifts his hand off of it and turns them over to the enemy. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Let me paint this picture for you. So even someone that's in sin or in rebellion, God has a calling on their life. They're running, they're disobeying God, they're not in agreement, whatever that looks like. When his hand is on them, think of it like Job. They have that hedge of protection around them. The things that could have come against them, God's hedge is covering that. His hand is on them. It keeps them from getting what's owed, getting what's due. But when God says, as long as I keep covering you, I already see you're not going to change. And the things that I was once holding back, now I'm going to allow to come against you. Oh my gosh, what is happening? My life is just all over the place. It turned me every which way but loose. Because if we're being honest, many times, and I was one, you only meet the Lord in that darkness. You're settling in bondage, but they have no more peace in that settlement. And it's getting to the point, thank you, Holy Spirit, where they can no longer suppress it. When God instructs you to stop praying, it's not that God's eyes aren't still on it. A lot of people are under the assumption when they stop praying, when all hell breaks loose, that means it's their fault because your prayers weren't covering them. But sometimes God needs all hell to break loose to get their attention. Right? When they don't take heed to Holy Spirit's warnings and nudges and convictions and red flags and donkeys in the road for themselves, life will speak for the Lord. But then when you stop praying, you may have seen all hell breaking loose, or, oh my gosh, it's getting worse. My prayers, that's why this is happening. If God has instructed you to no longer pray, that's because now the prayers of the righteous availeth much. Sometimes your prayer is getting in the way of what God needs to do. Now they feel the fire. Now they feel that butt whooping. Now they feel what it's like to be away from the Lord. Because anything we had to go outside of his will to get, we'll have to stay outside of his will to keep it. As long as that hedge was there, they live in their best life. Lord, is this my word? Is this my word for now? Is this you answering my prayer? Is this you finally, thank you, Holy Spirit, giving me language for what I've been petitioning you for?